Good afternoon and welcome to the PAC Chat. I'm Felicia Milelli, the board chair and co-founder for New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. Today I'm joined with co-founder and board member Marin Jolinos for a discussion with attorney Ron Berutti. We'll bring him on in just a moment. With Ron, we'll be discussing the arrest of a Cranford, New Jersey resident for not obeying a mask policy at her local Board of Ed meeting just this past Monday. If this is the first time you are joining us, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. The PAC Chat is a NJPHIPAC news outlet where we introduce to you our community prominent and key players in New Jersey politics, as well as individuals and advocates whom are influential in affecting change related to health freedoms in New Jersey. NJPHIPAC is a nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots political action committee. Our board members are deeply committed to protecting and strengthening health freedom, bodily autonomy, informed consent, bioindividuality, and parental rights. We do so with the highest of integrity around our content and our actions. As a nonprofit political action committee, our success relies on your contributions and support. Your contributions afford NJPHIPAC the ability to grow and inform our community of current events, as well as elevate candidates and incumbents who have vowed to be a voice for us, the people of New Jersey, surrounding issues with health freedom and public health. We believe that public health will flourish only when the health of each of us is honored. So, hello, Marin.
Hey, Felicia.
Thanks for joining. Thank you for joining us today. We have some viewers, so thank you for tuning in. And I'm going to bring Ron Berutti right on to tell us about the arrest in Cranford. Good afternoon, Ron.
Good afternoon, Felicia. Good afternoon, Marin. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Ron.
Of course. This is crazy. With just less than a month left of the in-school mask mandates, with the Super Bowl that had maskless faces, every right, left, and center. It's just New Jersey insanity at its finest. That just now there's the first arrest in New Jersey for somebody who would like to be able to breathe at a Board of Ed meeting. And I'd like to add that I was just at a Board of Ed meeting last night for my district, which the entire, except for I think one or two members of the board, were maskless themselves, and same as the attendees. So just astounding. I'm interested in you elaborating on the story. We also have the videos that we could share to give perspective of what actually went down.
Yeah, thank you. So first, along with the Murray Nolan Berruti law firm, full disclosure, Gwyneth Murray Nolan, who was arrested, is my law partner. I'm very proud of her. She stood up for something that mattered to her children. She did it for her children, and she's been doing it for her children for years now. The Cranford Board of Education had her arrested on Monday evening. Shortly after the Cranford Board of Education had been served with a civil lawsuit that I had filed on Gwyneth's behalf, alleging that the Cranford Board of Education, the superintendent, and that group was violating Gwyneth's civil rights. We filed it in federal court. That for a period of about a month prior to the meeting, the Cranford Board of Education had been publishing public comments, notices, posts, and social media, essentially asserting that you had to wear a mask or else, kind of thing. The Cranford Board of Education in January at its meeting had terminated the meeting because Gwyneth silently, peacefully, never saying a word, just refused to put on a mask, as she's done for about 2 years now. She's not worn a mask at Cranford Board of Ed meetings, but they decided that they were going to enforce this rule of theirs because they had to, because they wanted to, because it was important to them and to be respected and obeyed. And they've lost all sense of proportionality. They lost all sense of what it means to be a public servant, an elected official. And Gwyneth has for 2 years been advocating for her children, one who's special needs and the other who's a young boy, who's both have suffered greatly with respect to mask mandates. And she's asked the board for help. And instead of helping the children, what the board did is they arrested the children's mother.
Wow.
Anything else I can tell you?
Matt.
Sorry, I was.
Felicia, do you want to get the video? Do you have the video in queue?
I do. I can show that. First, let me show the. I think there's a clip of Gwyneth attempting to get into the building, so I'll show that first. Let me add that.
I'm gonna have to call the police.
Are you threatening to call the police on me?
No, I'm not. Can you just please
Are
follow
you
what I'm
telling me
asking
you're
you
going
to
to call the police?
do? Can you just please do what I'm asking
What's
you
your
to do?
name?
Can you please do what I'm
Dennis
asking you to do?
McCafferty?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You're acting under color of law right now, and I have a constitutional right not to wear a mask. This is a public building,
I have been
and
asked.
I am going to a public meeting.
Here's the story. If you don't want to do it, you're not
Do
going to
you
do
want
it.
to be named?
I have been told to call the police. I'm looking to avoid that.
You're acting under color of law right now.
Can you?
I hope you understand that.
Will you be
Today,
able to follow what I'm asking you to do or no?
I'm not going to wear a mask in a public building. I
Then
don't.
Then
It
I
is
have
my
to call the police.
it is my constitutional right to exercise free speech and not wear a mask. And if you're going to deprive me of my constitutional rights, I am going to name you personally and acting under color of law as an employee of the town of Cranford. In the
Here's the
case
story.
let me
If you're
finish.
gonna-
Do
here's the
not
story.
interrupt
No,
me.
No. Here's the story. I've listened to you for 2
going
minutes.
to no,
If-
you didn't listen to me
If
for 2
you
minutes.
can wear the mask, that would be appreciated. That's what I'm asking
I don't
you
have
do.
to wear a mask.
If you're not going to wear it,
and you can't
then I have
deprive
to ask.
and you can't deprive me of my constitutional right. This is a freedom of speech.
Gotcha.
Freedom of speech and not wearing a mask.
Here's the story. If you're not going to wear it, I've been instructed to call the police. I'm looking to avoid that.
You then avoid it. You don't you if you're gonna call the police on someone, a parent exercising their constitutional rights, and you think that that's the right thing to do, then you do what you think is the right thing to do.
It's not about what I think. It's been what I'm
No,
told to do.
no. You know what?
Will you be able
I'm
to follow this or
You know
no?
what? Everybody does what they're told to do. How about you do what you think is the right thing to do? Okay? You do what you think is the right thing to
This is
do.
what I have to do, man.
No, you don't have to do it. You do what you think is the right thing to do. You don't have to do it, Dennis.
Why are you yelling at me?
Dennis,
having
I'm
a
not
conversation.
yelling. Dennis, I'm telling you,
here's the
do the
story,
right
honestly.
thing. Do the right
I'm
thing.
asking you to wear the mask.
Do the right thing. No, I'm here to go to a public
I
meeting.
get all that.
I'm a tax-paying citizen, and this is a
You cannot do it to
this
everyone.
is a
I'm trying to give you a
public
heads up.
this is a public building. I absolutely
get
can.
all that.
I'm a
You have to wear the
citizen.
mask.
I'm a taxpayer and a parent in this town, and I'm going to a public meeting.
You and I get all that.
Do the right thing. Just do what's right.
Ron, I just have a question. As a lawyer, can you give us a little bit of color around whether the executive order has any bearing on public meetings or in public buildings?
Well, we have a couple positions in that. First of all, this is a mixed-use building. It's not just a school building, and the building is being used by a board of education. They don't have to hold their meetings there. They can hold it in another space, but they choose to hold it in that meeting. But regardless, nothing, no law, no executive order, no local fiat trumps the United States Constitution. Gwyneth Marin had filed a lawsuit properly, we believe, and we believe we have very good and solid grounds to do so, that the Board of Education and the superintendent had and their attorneys had violated her civil rights. They had terminated a meeting before public comment in January because she silently protested by not putting on a mask as they were commanding. They had no right to terminate the meeting before public comment. We don't believe that they had a right to go into a private session where we believe they conspired to terminate the right. They then went out and published posts for public consumption, where they essentially, without naming her specifically, it was very obvious who they were talking about because Gwyneth's well known in town for her protest against the masks. and has been really abused online for what they're writing. They basically threatened her with arrest, and she decided that her children are much more important than the threat of arrest. And if it takes an arrest to raise awareness of what it is that is happening to her children and many other children, there's a health crisis, a mental health crisis with children all over the nation. This is well known, well documented. These masks are terrible. What's happening with COVID is terrible for children. And so she wanted to raise awareness. This is a First Amendment issue, and they're trying to shut down her constitutional First Amendment rights. They wanted to chill those rights, as we alleged in the complaint. That complaint, in order to show cause, was filed in federal court on Monday evening, just before, about a couple hours before the meeting. I made sure that every single member of that board was emailed a copy of our pleadings, that the attorneys were emailed a copy of the pleadings, and that the superintendent was emailed a copy of the pleadings, because they're all named. I wanted them to take pause and to consider, what is the thing that you're supposed to be doing here? And before the meeting even started, officially, the board attorney came out. I guess there was a platform. I wasn't there. I've seen video and I've heard some things from people. The board attorney came to sit next to Gwyneth, and Gwyneth believes that she was being threatened by him if she didn't put on a mask. She said, "I'm not going to put on a mask." She provided him a copy of the papers again that had been served on him. He flung them across the room, from what I understand. And he commanded her, got right in her face and said, "You will wear a mask." And she said, "No, I'm not." And then the police came. Yeah. And that's when
it sounds like a power struggle. It's just really disturbing.
Well, it shouldn't be a power struggle. We're a free society, and everyone knows. No one believes. No one in their right mind can believe that by not wearing a mask, Gwyneth was harming anybody. She wasn't. You mentioned it, the Super Bowl, people all over the place. I guarantee you, if I wanted to probably go on the social media pages of these people who had her arrested, I'm sure I'd find pictures of them with people without masks on. No one's wearing a mask all the time. It's utter nonsense, to be honest with you. Yeah. There's no evidence other than the N95 masks that they do anything. As I understand it, the viral droplets are 1/50th the size of the holes in the masks. You can't see them. The masks do not contain
and
anything.
We know this March 7th is just like an arbitrary date, 100%. Well, we have the other clip of her having confrontation with the police officers. We can show that to add some color to the instance as well.
May I just say?
Sure.
The word confrontation, I don't think it's appropriate. I think when you watch the video, you will see that Gwyneth conducted herself in a respectful and appropriate manner, and that the arrest of her, after the police officer admits that she has a constitutional right, yet arrests her for policy, I'm frankly stunned at how calm she remained.
She did. And
she stood firmly on her principles and on the Constitution. And I got incredibly great respect for what she did. I'm really proud of her.
So are we. Let's take a look. Thanks, Ron.
I'm a public taxpayer sitting in a public meeting.
Okay. Ma'am, are you going to put your
This is a public, this is not, how am I trespassing?
Ma'am, are you
I'm a
going to put your mask
taxpayer. Now, I want you to tell me, as law enforcement,
Ma'am,
you
if
enforce laws.
Right,
You're
they
telling me I'm
obviously do not want
trespassing.
you to stay without your mask on. Are
Tell
you
me,
going to put your mask
Officer
on?
Jones, you just told
My
me
name
I'm
is Sergeant Jones.
Sergeant
Okay,
Jones.
now I'm asking you again, and I don't, again, apologize for interrupting your meeting. I'm gonna ask you again, can you please put your mask on so this meeting can take place, so you can stay in the meeting, or there's a virtual option for you to go?
Sergeant Jones, you just told me I'm trespassing.
Yes, you-
I would like you
you'll
to
be-
tell me how I'm trespassing.
because they want you to leave if you're not putting on your mask.
They're in charge of policy, you're in charge of law.
Okay, ma'am, are you gonna put your mask on?
No, I'm not.
Okay, could
I
you
have a
stand up, please?
I have a
Can you stand up,
constitutional
please, ma'am?
right.
I really don't wanna make a scene. Can you please just stand up?
I have
Thank
a
you.
constitutional right.
Miss Officer Gina, can you grab her stuff and we'll take her outside, please?
I have
Thank
a
you.
constitutional
You
right.
do, and I'm asking you to walk out. Thank you. Get her bag, please. Thank you.
You're in
You
charge
can
of,
walk out,
you're in
please.
charge of law, not policy.
Go to the left. Okay. Now, miss, again, I don't even want us to get to this point. I don't at all. All I want you to do is just put your mask on while you're in the building, or I have to take you out of the building. I
Why?
don't want to do
I
that,
wanna know why you have to.
because they do not want you
control.
here unless you put your mask on.
But I filed a lawsuit
Okay.
today
Okay,
against the Board of Education.
Okay.
Because not wearing a mask is a political statement.
okay. But in the meantime, while you're in the building, I have to come here to make sure that you're adhering to the rules of the building. The building here is that you have to put your mask on. Are you gonna put, or you wanna do you could actually do the virtual option, it's up to you.
But that's not, but you just told me I'm trespassing. That's
Yes.
the reason why you're removing me.
Yes, because they do not want you here unless you have your mask on.
But that's not, you're in charge of laws.
Miss, they do not want you here. The law says right now that you have to wear your mask inside of this building for the Board of Ed meeting.
It does not.
Okay, miss, are you going to wear your mask or are you going to leave the building?
I'm not gonna wear a mask.
Okay.
It's a.
Okay, I'm just gonna arrest you for defiant
I'm not,
trespassing.
no, I'm not, you don't.
She has a right to be here,
I
officer.
have a right to be here.
She does. I mean, she has a right to be here. It's a public place.
It's a public building and I'm a taxpayer.
She's a member of the community. She has 2 children in the district. She has a right to be here as a public space.
Do you have all her stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we take those items, please?
Are you her husband or are you with her?
Yeah, I'm not her husband though, but I can take that I can take these items for her.
She'd have to okay that first.
Glenn, can I take your bag and your items?
Hold on.
Can I take these?
Yeah, you can take it.
Do you have a cell phone?
I got it. Yeah, thank
Here
you.
is a pen. Just gonna place that in here.
Gotcha.
Here's her Gatorade.
She's got a medical procedure tomorrow morning, folks. So
Down in 45 minutes.
I have to say, she's got some composure.
She's amazing.
Really. Yeah,
Um,
I think what, as I'm feeling as a parent, and I think parents, especially in New Jersey and in other states where they're still masking children in school, I think we can all relate to this passion that we feel as parents to just want to protect our children. Our children, they're kids, they're helpless. They have really only us as their parents to stand up for them. And it's just evident that that is where this passion is coming from. I'd love to hear more about where this passion came from with Gwyneth. Obviously, she has children in the school. So if you can just speak to that.
Sure. Just for what it's worth, the video was shot by Tom Grasso, not me. I was not there. Tom Grasso is an attorney in town who's also supports the unmasking of children. And Tom's done a wonderful job. And I thank him for the video. Gwyneth's 2 children, she has 2 children. One is an 8-year-old boy and one is 6. The older child has special needs. He's on the autism spectrum. and he had a very difficult time with masking originally in terms of being able to understand the teachers and to be able to communicate, because the covering of the face made it difficult for him to learn. It's very damaging to kids to not be able to see their teachers' mouths. It's the way it's part of when you think about it, when you sit and you really think about how it is when you're talking to somebody, you're not just listening to them. You hear someone better when you see them too. And for a young child, it's very important to be, especially one with the autism problem that he has. It was very important for him to be able to see his teacher's mouth. The younger child was in first grade, and he's a sweet kid, very gregarious, kind of the funny kid. And he believed, because of the masking, that no one in his class liked him. Very psychologically damaging. No, he couldn't see the reactions of kids' faces. He couldn't see the reactions of teachers' faces. He thought the teacher was mad at him all year. This is a 6-year-old boy. At the time, actually, it was actually 5 at the time. We know that child psychologists, you can't book an appointment with them for months, because children all over this country are in a mental health crisis because of what government is doing to them. These young children will never be. My mom lived in Europe during World War II, and she still tells stories about how, there was machine gun strafings and this fear, and Gwyneth's kids thought they were going to die if they took their masks off. This is something that's going to be with them forever. And government is damaging these children, and for no reason, for no good reason. There's no scientific reason behind what they're doing. None.
Well, there's definitely social and emotional effects that are just not being discussed by the policymakers, by those that are implementing these mask mandates. Where is the data showing that it's safe for them in all aspects? Why are we not addressing what it's doing to them from a learning perspective and a social and emotional perspective? We know depression rates are skyrocketing, rates of suicide. I mean, these are things that they're going to take years to correct. And really, parents are at their wits' end. And so, I feel compassion toward Gwyneth and for all of the children and the parents that are just fed up and don't know what else to do. And it's taking them to this point where, they're being arrested at meetings and being escorted out. And it's just.
Well, Gwyneth, so Gwyneth testified before panels of the New Jersey Assembly, New Jersey Senate last summer. So this is all in the board is well aware of this. Her youngest child, who was 6 at the time, developed a habit of licking the inside of his masks. He's a 6-year-old boy. How do you tell him to stop? You don't. He developed a mouthful of sores. At one point, he had 8 sores in his mouth. His doctor said it was from the sores. Doctors are all afraid to give exemption letters. They're all being scared by medical boards and practices. That everyone's afraid. When it's not. I'm not afraid. You guys aren't afraid. But the damage is so incredible. The trauma is so incredible for children. And it's not just her children. It's not just her grandstanding. This is a serious protest for justice for these children, for all children who are being scared into submission, who are being damaged in their education, who are losing friendships and socialization skills that they must have. And it's extremely damaging that policymakers have ignored these primary functions of our education system to impose a mask mandate that does nothing. There is not a single peer-reviewed study that I'm aware of other than with an N95 mask. I understand an N95 mask study provides that if you have COVID and you wear an N95 mask, there is evidence that it will help prevent the spread of COVID. Beyond that, I don't know of a single peer-reviewed study that supports mask mandates. Certainly, we're not hearing it from the governor. The governor has not included those in his executive orders. I haven't seen it in any executive orders because it just doesn't exist. This is a power play.
It most certainly is. And I think that the most important thing that we can tell our viewers right now is that although the mask mandates are ending in schools in March 7th, well, one piece of that is that make sure that they are in your district, because it is being left up to the district. So make sure that you're attending the Board of Ed meetings, finding out what their policies are and who they're answering to. Follow Innovative Parenting. They're doing so much to inform the board about the Board of Eds and how to handle those discussions. That's Innovative Parenting NJ on Instagram and Facebook. But most importantly, it's when those mask mandates end on the 7th, it's not over. It is not over. We cannot stop until there's legislation and judicial action to make sure that this doesn't happen and it can't happen in the same way that it has. So I know there's several great legislation out right now, including some bills by Senator Ed Durr. There's a masking bill that he has. I think it's 831, S831. Marin, you wanted to talk to?
Well, I just wanted to mention also with regard to, well, first of all, let's just rewind a little bit, because the mask mandate is set to expire and leave it up to districts, but there are districts that have already announced that regardless of what the state has said, they're still going to require masks. So yes, it's important, as Felicia said, to make sure that you contact your superintendent, your Board of Ed, ask them if they've made a decision with regard to this policy, attend your Board of Ed meetings, make it known that you want your district to be optional. But there are districts that have already said they're not going to be optional. So what I think is important, Senator Corrado, who's in District 40, she's proposed a pair of bills that will help protect those students who have intellectual and developmental disabilities and allow them to have the option to mask or not. So I think, Ron, you spoke to the fact that Gwyneth did talk in front of the legislature on this issue, and it sounds like she's being heard, and there are parents of children with disabilities that are being heard. So in the districts, at least as of March, that are not going optional, we should definitely keep an eye on those bills, support those bills. Thanks, Senator Corrado, for her support. But as Felicia said, I mean, this may not be the end. Masks can come back at basically any point, because we know that, Phil Murphy and the Department of Health, we're not seeing any data or any transparency with regard to their executive orders. So, rates can go up and all of a sudden the mask mandate is back. And this could happen at any point, and most likely in fall if it does come back. So we really need to stay on top of this.
That's why it's also important to support Bill S-1200 to end or limit the executive power and return balance to the legislature to, create an equal branch of government again. Checks and balances, remember those? So, supporting that bill. And I want to make a correction. It was actually S-1106 is the parental rights bill sponsored by Senator Ed Durr, and S-31 is a anti-discrimination health privacy bill also sponsored by Senator Ed Durr. So there's some great legislature out there. Be speaking to your district legislators, letting them know how you feel, telling their story, getting personal with them, creating a relationship. It really should be an open door policy, and they are supposed to be your voice. So never feel like you don't belong or you shouldn't go there. A phone call, stopping in their office, telling them how they feel. Follow the call to actions from Innovative Parenting and NJPHIPAC, and please continue to support us, because we're supporting you and are at the forefront of the issues in New Jersey surrounding parental rights and health freedom. And we're supporting candidates and incumbents, congressional, as well as, of course, the state legislature in their candidacies, to make sure that our voices are heard in Trenton and we have the correct representation. So you can always go to NJPHIPAC.org to consider a donation or learn more about us. follow us on social media as well. I want to give you the last word, Ron, if there's any way, anything that you want to share regarding what you're currently working on and how people could be in touch with you if they need your services.
Thanks. Yeah, I didn't do this really for an ad for my firm, and certainly it's not why Gwyneth did this. This goes way back before our firm was created, but we did leave our law firm because we thought it would be we'd better be able to serve our clients who are individual liberty conscious. I represent a group right now of restaurant owners, gyms, and individuals who are taking on Mayor de Blasio and the City of New York's vaccine passport mandate. We intend hopefully to get all the way to the United States Supreme Court with that case. We're on the doorstep. We're now in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. We're big with medical exemptions and other vaccine related cases. We're taking on a CRT case. We believe there's a school district in New Jersey that we're examining in terms of whether it's violating Title VI of the federal laws in terms of its race-based educational policies. And there'll be more on that in the future, I'm sure. And we're dealing with the masking. There's so many issues that people are faced with, and just people want to be heard and don't want their civil rights violated. And it's sort of become commonplace that we sort of have this divided nation idea that one side's right, one side's wrong. And just going to, very proud of what NJPHIPAC has done and appreciative of what you've done. But this really isn't political. I mean, Governor Murphy, through the skin of his teeth in a deep blue state, barely won re-election. And Senator Sweeney lost, to Senator Durr. And maybe it's time for politicians on both sides of the aisle to sit down and say, look, the people are not happy. The people are not pleased with what's going on. And maybe we should not dig in so deeply and start thinking, how can we work together for the benefit of the people, and especially with the masking, for the benefit of children? This is the future. And it shouldn't be so controversial, but it is. And it doesn't have to be. And so right now, as I say, there are only two ways to win this battle right now, and it's through elections and through the courts. And we're going to take these cases, all of them, if we have to. We're all over the country, and we're primarily in New Jersey, but we're working all over the country because it's that important to so many people, not only in the country, through the world. We've been contacted from people in Australia and Canada and Europe too. That's the way the world is going, and we have to take this hill and keep it, or we're going to lose our freedom forever.
Yes, it is 100% a basic human rights issue. This is not a political issue, but it has been so polarized. And, I appreciate your humility, but you are doing some incredible work. And we wanted you to share that because people need you.
Thank you.
And so we appreciate you coming on to share the story. And we encourage more people to stand up and do what it takes to protect our kids and make New Jersey a better place to live.
Yeah, 100% agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ron.
everybody, for tuning in. Have a great day.
You too.